Hello, everyone, and welcome to the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. My name is Vanita Lambert, and I have the honor of hosting this show every single week. And one of the pleasures that I get out of this is I get to bring on very special guests to share information with our community and to share some of their experiences. So today I have Mr. Daquan Long. He's the CEO of Brick Talk Solutions LLC, among other things. He wears a lot of hats, but I'm going to let him tell you all about that. So welcome to the show, Daquan.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I actually met him at Housatonic. We were doing a business networking event. And once he told me, we had a short conversation, I was like, you got to come on the show. I mean, he is so inspiring, some of the things that he does. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, some of the other things that you're involved in, and we can start our conversation on whatever you like.
All right, yeah, sounds good. So yeah, everyone, as she said, I'm the founder, the CEO of Brick Talk Solution, and what we are is a real estate investment company, as well as a mentorship program where we help teaching people how to become multifamily real estate investors or commercial real estate investors. One of the other things that I do among that, is I'm also a youth advocate. I work at Career Resources, where I work with the ages of 18 to 24, some of the students that's been displaced due to dropping out of school, due to being incarcerated, due to joining the military, just all different several reasons that kind of put a hinder in them pursuing their education or their career to make it to the next step in life. So what I kind of do with them is I sit down with them, walk them through interviews, make them aware of nonverbals that they may not be presenting during interviews. I don't like just placing them into a job that they don't care about or that they don't see value in, but a job that aligns with their values. So we actually go on the websites, look at company values and mission statements, and see if it aligns with what they want to do in life.
Right. I see. A lot of times the career picks you. Sometimes, especially as a teenager or a young adult, you dabble a little bit here and there, but you really don't know what you want to do until you actually maybe walk into a studio and do a show and see what a technician is doing. And sometimes the career picks you. Yes. And so that's a good thing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so good when I'm from Bridgeport community. That's where most of the residents or the students that end up in our program. And it's, with the poverty and the crime and, due to a lot of systems that really kind of is like pushing rather than taking the time and making sure that the individuals are developed. And it's hard sometimes because the relatability part, right? So what makes it unique, and one of the things that I bring to the table in regards to the career resources and working with youth at that level, is I also make sure that they understand I've been where they were at.
That's important. That is probably the most important thing, because I think a lot of young people feel like, okay, if they mess up one time, they might not be able to, get into college or do this or do that. But there's other avenues that they can take to be successful.
Yes.
And what I like that you do, this guy's hands-on. We had to push the show up early today because he is attending high school graduation of one of the kids that he mentored. Now, how important is that? I got goosebumps just saying that. Those are some of the things that we need. You are, everybody talks about all the bad things that happens in Bridgeport. There's a lot of crime and this, that, and the other. There's also a lot of good things in Bridgeport.
Yes.
And you are one of them. Yes. And what you're doing, you're changing lives.
Yes.
I mean, if you could change one or two lives, in a year or whatever, time you can do it, that's amazing. Yeah. God put you here for that purpose.
Yes.
And you're doing an amazing job. So continue.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe so. Thank you for the kind words. Just growing up in Bridgeport, like I was saying, like the relatability part, like I understand where a lot of them come from, right? So I grew up in Bridgeport on the eastern part of town, and I wasn't always this way. In seventh grade, I got expelled out of school. I came back to school I got expelled in 8th grade. You know, I went back to school. I got expelled in 9th grade. Then when I finally went back in 10th, I dropped out. I stopped going. And then, you know, unfortunately, I started getting into selling drugs and the things that was in the environment and what I was exposed to. And I ended up getting incarcerated at 16, doing 10 years in prison. You know,
wow.
so a lot of the youth, and when I'm communicating with, I know what some of the stress and struggles that they're dealing with and what they're exposed to and what they're not exposed to. So I kind of like share them and show them different routes and different ways that that we would consider non-traditional, right? I tell them,
Exactly.
hey, you may not want a job. Okay, we understand. What about investment? Do you know about real estate? Do you know about streaming? What about, oh, you love playing video games all day? Hey, did you know this guy started off playing 2K on Twitch and now he's in this career and this is what he does? So even some of those hobbies or things that that they enjoy, there are ways to make money from those ways. You know? So
Absolutely.
I showed them that as well.
IT and gaming is huge.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money gaming.
Yes, of course. And then, you know, they started picking up on other things that they didn't even know that came with it, like certain transferable skills, such as like how they communicate with certain teams and the business side of it, knowing like when the peak time where people are on live and all of these little things that transfer into other job opportunities. But you still need the basics, right? You still need the interpersonal skills. You still need to understand values and goal setting. You still need to be able to be, you know, humble, like, you know, till for criticism, right? Because I always preach, you know, anything that I say to the students, if I'm criticizing, is to correct and not to condemn.
Exactly.
Right? So those are some of the main things that I like to instill into the students and saying, hey, when you do get the job, if you do go the job route, even in the beginning, be the best employee someone's ever hired. You know, if you have those value systems, you're constantly want to learn, you constantly want to grow. And, I had a teacher named Mr. Bosco. He said this. He said, you know, things can be simplified down to people, ideas, and things. You know, if you use ideas and things to help people, you know, you'll make more money and things will come out better. But if you use people to gain ideas and things, your life will become worse and you'll make less money. So those are the same characteristics, values, and traits that I share with the students so they can have a different way of thinking as they navigate, you know, with the different distractions that come in high school and after, you know, the girls and the guys and, you know, the independency and, you know, they see.
They think they know it all.
Yep, they realize
That's
they
what
can't go to the
I
NBA.
learned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
You know,
oh, man.
I'm in my 60s and I got like a 4-year-old trying to tell me, well, she's not even 4 yet. She's showing me that she knows more than I do. I'm like, no. So it's good that you share all that information with them. And another thing I like about you that you do is you listen to them.
Yes.
Because one thing I know is everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be cared about. Everybody wants to be loved. And once you are able to do that, then you have their respect if you understand them and you hear them. But it's also important for them to listen as well. So it's a two-way street there.
Yep.
And you have the expertise. And so something you said, you were incarcerated for a few years. You said
10 years.
10 years.
2010.
So from incarceration to CEO, to mentorship, to all these other things you haven't even listed yet because we only got 28 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yes.
There are possibilities.
Yep.
You know, you're never, ever shut down. There's always a way out.
Yep. And that comes with, see, a lot of times what I learned, like even since you bring up incarceration, right? I guess it's best to explain like how I did my time, so a lot of people can, you know,
Utilize your time
exactly.
successfully,
Yeah.
constructively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, where a lot of people were playing chess all day, and get it, I play chess, you know.
Chess is good.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just like working out, and it's just like anything else. It has to be a balance. So if you spend most of your time, you know, in entertainment, because that is more so entertaining rather than studying and preparing. Because I kind of kept it simple, you know. I just said, okay, I want books on people that was in prison and got out and became successful. And I was just reading and trying to find out exactly what they did. And then I also read books on, I remember reading this book, Wealth Without Risk, and a few other people that are successful in real estate and business and things like that. And they had some of the same attributes and the same skill sets, and they talked about the same subjects. So I just kept studying those subjects with the hope that if I just fake it, rehearse it so much that when I was released, I would just get through it, you know, and it was
It
good,
worked.
you know.
Look at you, it
but
worked.
as well as with support, you know. I always talk about this concept. I think the owner of the Mavericks, Cuban, Mark Cuban.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, one of the owners. He said it on Shark Tank, but I read it somewhere prior than that. But I seen him say it. I'm like, oh, all right, he knows it too. But he said he posed this question with businesses, but I also pose it with the students and everyone I meet with. Would you rather own 20% of a grape or 100% of a watermelon? Right. So with that grape, you can do everything by yourself. Yes, you could be a self-made millionaire. Yes, you can independently do certain things, but you can only get but so much done, and you can only get but so large because your hands is in everything. Your time is in everything. But when you build a team, a supporting team, right? And even think about, a lot of people use Rick Ross as an example of being a self-made millionaire because he always talk about self-made, right? But even him, he's a CEO, he has a COO, he has a CFO, he has a head of marketing, he has all of these people at that table.
That's right.
That allows him to grow. So I copied the same thing. You know, when I was in prison, you know, I had my mentor, Dr. Kenneth Jackson. I had my other mentor, which has been in the community, in the reentry community, for about 25 to 30 years strong, and throughout CT and throughout the nation. Then I also have another mentor who is Frederick Hodges, who I seen him when he was released out of prison from an electrician to a councilman in Bridgeport, Connecticut now. And then I also have another mentor, Dai McKnight, who, you know, since I was young, he was in the community trying to help out the youth. And all of these guys were incarcerated for a long amount of time.
Wow, and
so,
you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, you know, you wouldn't know it till where
Unless
they're
they
at.
tell you.
Exactly.
Like when I met you, that was the last thing from my mind.
Yep, and I recognized, and I just was emulating a lot of what they were doing. You know, he's in Housatonic helping people that was formerly incarcerated get degrees and certification. So I had all of these powerhouse people because I reached out. You know, the community, the support is out there, but a lot of people don't take the time. They just want it easy. They just want to get a paper of employers that's hiring felons, or go to the groups and see what you got for me, what you got for me, what you got for me, rather than saying, hey, I know you were incarcerated before. Hey, what did you do? You know, where should I go? You know, like help discern, because and then granted, there's a lot of people, it's just a job for them in these places, right? And all right, it's okay. But the ones that want to go above and beyond, want to share information in their story, you got to be receptive, humble, you know, and follow up. You know, you got to follow up. You know?
And you know, in today's world, I mean, the way things are going, let's take COVID, for example. If you didn't have your own business and you were working for somebody, you probably got shut down.
Yes.
So, you know, always you want to have different, you know, types of income, different streams of income, you know, and do you want to work for someone or do you want to work for yourself?
Yes.
And, you know, tapping into all the mentors, it gives you options.
Yes.
You can start out working for someone and then build your own business, but always, you know, tap into the mentors, see what they're doing, follow their models.
And it's cool that you say that, right? Because I always talk about speeding up the time. So when I read a book on someone's life, or what they do with their business, or what they're trying to convey, you get to speed up the time and not make those mistakes.
Exactly.
So when you're saying like these multiple streams of incomes and working jobs, yes, like I encourage people, if you want to be a business owner, you should still, for the most part, have some good employment or managerial experience, because 85% of business, or 80% I believe now, of businesses fail because of lack of management. So what does that mean? Communication, getting people to do things, getting people to want to do things.
Exactly.
You know, and the employment part, you know, I always had that goal, like I share with the students, to be the best employee someone's ever hired. So when my first job ever, you know, I remember going in the interview, I was going for a part-time job at Savers in Orange, Connecticut. And when I was in the interview, you know, I was giving up so much information that it felt like I was interviewing the interviewee. And the district manager happened to come, like, was just walking in the office, and when the district manager overheard person my interview, they said, I was walking out the door, the store manager come. I never seen the store manager. I just seen the interview manager, and then I seen the district manager. And the store manager come running out and was like, hey, Daquan. He was like, hey, you did good in here. We was wondering if you were available to work full time, and we don't want you in the front and retail. We want you in the warehouse managing furniture and other items.
You were overqualified for the job you were applying for.
Yeah, you know, and it was great, you know. It was very autonomous, right? It wasn't really nobody managing me. There was a supervisor making sure I get numbers done, but they let me do my thing. And, you know, I just got out of prison 10 years, so I didn't know about the prices because I was a pricer. So I'm using technology and I'm speeding up my process. And I want to share that because there's a lot of people who sell themselves short, like you were just saying, they're overqualified because you believe you don't got the job. But if you build skills, doesn't matter if it was through job, whether it's through school, whether it's through parenting, if you have skills that's transferable, they'll apply anywhere. You know.
And leadership skills are very, very important. Sometimes you have to follow before you lead.
Yep.
And as a leader or a president or a CEO, you have to also not be afraid to do the job that you're delegating to someone.
Of course.
And you got to be relatable.
Yep.
And managing is tough sometimes if you have a lot of people that you're doing it for.
Yes.
But the attitude of the workers are a reflection of the leadership.
Yes.
At all times. So you're a great leader.
Yeah.
And it shows. The guy overheard a conversation and wanted you to manage.
Yeah. Well, he wanted me to get the full-time job at that point.
Well, yeah.
But that you bring up management, right?
Exactly.
So my second job, shout out to Soda Cuban Cafe. I'm not sure if you've been there. The flagship location was originally downtown New Haven, but it was Afro-Cuban cuisine, which was a great opportunity for me from the owner, Jesus Porto, and Michael Emel gave me the opportunity, you know, just by me seeking mentors. So how I ended up working at Soda Cuban Cafe, a lot of people don't know. I was on the bus heading to school, and the Black Lives Matter was doing a march just in 2021, like during like COVID 2020, whatever. And I had walked in there, and you know, my sister was picking me up, and it was just the first restaurant I seen. So I go in there, they're like, "What you need?" I'm like, "Son, you know, cheap and fast." Because I had somewhere to go. And then they was like, "They got what we need," and it was a Cuban sandwich. I never had none like it. It was awesome, by the way.
Wow.
And
I haven't either.
Oh yeah, no, it's very good. And they, you know, we were just kicking it off. Long story short, they had wanted me to manage the restaurant just off of my interpersonal skills, like you were saying. And after time, I ended up working there. Like I finally ended up working there like a year and a half later, but we were all connected. They were teaching me about business and things. I was going to school for business. And I ended up not finishing getting my degree in business because I had the opportunity to manage that business.
That's right.
So I worked my way from a server to a bartender to assistant manager to a front of house manager to assistant manager to a general manager to area manager. And I was overseeing a location in downtown New Haven and the Sono Collection Mall in Norwalk, and helping with the opening in Tampa Bay, Florida, where they're at located right now. So it was a lot of experience and a lot of managerial. So.
Sounds like you got a PhD in experience in a lot of different fields. And a lot of times that's more important, well, I'm not gonna say more important, or just as important as having the bachelor's degree and all of that. I'll tell you, in the industry that I'm in, and I'm an insurance agent, most of the millionaires, billionaires that own all these agencies don't have bachelor's degrees.
Yes.
And so it is important to get your education if that's for you. It's not for everybody.
Yep.
Some people don't want to get a bachelor's degree and major in one thing. Some people want to do, you know, what you're doing, just dabble in everything until they find their real passion.
Yep.
And I mean, I like the part that you know, what you did when you were incarcerated. I hate to keep going back to that, but
no,
that is
that's
so important, because I know I watch TV and I watch like Hurricane Carter and all those things.
That's a hit.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, he was in there too long, but that was a good one. But anyway, You can get your degree while you're there.
Yep.
You can get different degrees. You can get experience, and like you said, just read.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the career will pick you. If you're not sure what you want to do, like me, I thought I was looking for my passion. Okay, so I joined all these groups, NCNW, MBA, and all these things I was doing. And all along, years later, I found out that my passion is Medicare. My passion is my job. I feel like what I do is improve people's lives through leaving their homes in a better place than when I got there, with insurance, with retirement plans, with answering questions that keep them up at night. So for me, it's my own private little ministry.
Yes.
So that's what I like to do. But you could already be doing something you love and just don't realize it, like I did, until a couple years later.
Yep.
So it is great to have mentors like you.
Oh, yes.
It is wonderful. There's someone out there. So I guess one of the things I like to say is, no matter what your situation, don't ever feel like there's no way out or you can't. Don't use those words, can't, because can comes before can't.
Yep.
Everybody has a smartphone.
Yep.
There's tools at your fingertips, like career resources.
Yep.
And, just talking to people and just, putting yourself out there and finding out what it is you want to do and learning how to do that. Some people are very shy. They may not know how to do it. So what would you say to a person that, somehow got caught up with a gang, did a couple years, kind of shy, some negative things happened in there, but they survived.
Yeah.
And then they got out and was just afraid. Because a lot of times, time stops when you go in.
Yeah.
When you come back out, it's like a whole new world. If you're in, so how did it look when you went in for 10 years and came back out? What was new? Smartphones, what was new?
So I had a little access to smartphone because I went in 2010. So
you
Apple
did?
and Google was out. So,
Okay.
but I have friends that went in 2009, 2008 that, a lot of them missed that. Or even the video
They were
games,
still on
right?
beepers, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't beepers. That's not 90%. No, but like I would say, right. So when I was released to an unusual circumstance, a pandemic. I came home during a pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So even the natural reentry process wasn't. There's no book on this, right? You don't come home to this circumstance, for the most part. But when I was home, one of the biggest things, like you were just saying, like, all right, so the person that's struggling and that they're, just got released and they're trying to figure things out. The number one thing is you have to have a plan. When I was incarcerated, I had a 5-year plan created in 2017, and I was released in 2020. So I had a 5-year plan, and I had 3 years before I was released to constantly communicate with other people, getting more information, change things, move things, get realistic timelines, all of these things. So you need a plan, right? Because if you know the saying, you you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? But you also need the support. But more importantly than anything is you got to realize that it's okay to fall. Just get back up.
That's it.
Things will happen. You just got to take it, brick by brick, step by step. And one of the amazing things that I learned about myself, right? Because I love learning. So it's funny, and I'm going to bring up because I was actually I started my college career incarcerated. So I was a part of Wesleyan University's college prison education program, where I consult and I speak for them now. So it's
you're
really
their
cool,
voice.
But the biggest thing that I would, like I said, I love learning the education part is learning about yourself, right? So even if it's bad sometimes, like when I was released, I realized that I was dealing with anxiety. Right? So nobody never diagnosed, I never noticed, but when I would go in the grocery store or something like that, it was just so many selections, because in prison, we're limited to a commissary sheet with only a certain amount of items. It's only 2 lotions, right? Cocoa butter, Vaseline. But when I went to Walmart my first day out,
oh my God,
it was so many. So my cousin and my mom, they're just helping me with shopping. They was like, oh yeah, this one is good. Oh, which one you like? Which one you like? And anything they pick up, I'm just saying, yeah, that one.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm just trying to complete that process. But I didn't know it was anxiety at the time. Then I go I remember I didn't want to go to New Haven at the time. And when I was going to New Haven, or while I was in New Haven, I didn't want to catch the bus by myself. And I was like, why?
Because
I feel
why?
like this? It was just anxiety. It was just the
Anxiety,
unfamiliarity.
okay. And all the different personalities and
the
people getting on the bus.
The
Stops, you don't know who's going to come on, who's going to get off.
because you got to think, you're not used to like the cars anymore like that. So
that's
all
what
of
I'm
that is
saying.
a
It's
process.
time stops when you go in, and when you come back out, you gotta like re-enter and get used to everything all over again.
Yes.
So
And I think this the cap on it, that's okay. Like, it's okay if you're dealing with things that people are unaware of, right? You just have to share it. So I'll take these same stories. So one of the other things, I know we're getting short on time, is I also teach financial literacies in halfway houses, where I go in and teach people about me and Dr. Kenneth Jackson. We created a whole financial healing program. We switched the word literacy to healing because there's a lot of people who are traumatized from financial things, haves and haves nots, as they were young and had to grow up, right? So we make sure that we are addressing everything, right? So like there's trauma behind only having food at the first of the month and the end of the month. There's trauma having dirty sneakers on the first day of school.
that's how I grew up. I understand. So wow, yeah. When you teach those guys, you ought to bring me.
Yeah. Yo, you'd be
Financial
surprised
expert
how many
too.
times we're going to different organizations, and those organizations are trying to, like, the staff is getting, the staff wants it, and it's dope,
There's not a lot of information out there. So I think basically, and we got about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to get that to you. But I just want to say, no matter what your situation, it's okay not to be okay.
Yes.
It's all right. Because, none of us are perfect. None of us are even close to perfect. But it's okay. There is help out there for you. So we have 1 minute left. Don't the time go by fast? I can sit here and talk for hours.
Yeah, I know.
So what
We
would you
haven't
like to
scratched
leave
the
our
surface.
audience with? So if somebody needed help, can they reach out, go on your website? Tell us what to do.
Yes. So in regards of what the main thing is that we didn't really get the address of Brick Talk Solutions and what we do as a company, the real estate investment, right, is the one thing that allowed me to be financially free, right? Because when I purchased my first multifamily home, I was able to rent out the first 2 units and live in the 3rd unit for free. So I was able to address my biggest expense. So therefore, now I'm not limited. Now I have the time to make decisions to find a better opportunity for me and to be able to build my business. So I always promote, get real estate, a multifamily property, single family, whatever, but get some type of land that you can make money off of and reduce your expenses. And I'm pretty much open. My contact is on the website in regards of reentry, in regards of real estate, in regards of financial literacy, and in regards of community.
Wow, that's great. This is a self-educated man. I want to thank you, Mr. Daquan Long, for coming on our show. That's the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.
That's it.